Okay, I've never been so quiet for so long. And before I start, I'm going to count to 10 very slowly, and if you wish, during those 10 counts, and then please be seated. You may stand, stretch your neck, go like this, and then sit down. Okay, be sure you're taking your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's all you get. Everybody down. I want to thank you all for coming. I'm very encouraged by the interest in these prison issues that's being reflected by your attendance here. My position is very simple, and that is, if we humanize the prisoners, it would be a very important step towards saving the economy. And you've heard 3 speakers who have been very interesting. They've been very full of facts. I've looked on the computer, I've looked on the web, I've read a lot of books, and their facts are very good, and I'm not going to give you any more facts. When I say more than 50%, I mean a lot of them. And when I say a few, I mean not so many. But the numbers on all of these data reports and statistics that are provided always depends on the date that it was written, on the state where it was written. Does it refer to male or female, black or African American, and African American or Caucasian prisoners? And so every number you get probably has a span that goes up or down at least 10%, and it's still truly a number that could be justified by some report somewhere. For instance, recidivism. Recidivism means that within 3 years after they're released, a person will be back in prison. Okay, so today, we don't know how many of the ones we're releasing this year are going to come back. So the only recidivism report we can give would have to go back to 2006. Because that's the only way we can get a statistic that shows within 3 years they went back. And so I rest my case on that. My position is simple. I'm going to humanize prisoners. That's what I want to talk about. Tough on crime policies increase the prison population, which increases the cost to the taxpayers, which decreases the quality of our incarceration programs when budget cuts are made, which increases crime and recidivism. Conversely, prevention programs decrease crime, especially when they provide health care and drug programs and education to the youth. It decreases the prison population, which decrease the tax costs, and it avoids budget cuts. And those budget cuts allow us to increase the quality of the programs to the prisoners, which decreases crime. And if you understand all that, and it's very clear, there was really nothing else to say, but I'm going to go on for another hour or two anyway. There's nothing very clever about these conclusions. I didn't just figure it out because I'm clever. I'm not that clever. I've done a lot of research, and I've talked to a lot of people, and I've read a lot of books. But they know it's true. Now you all know who they are, don't you? They are the people who are gaining economically from an increased prison population, and they are the people who are maintaining and gaining political power through the large prison population. That doesn't mean everybody who isn't one of us is one of them, but they are the ones that I'm going to refer to today. And it only takes a few of them to have a profound effect on our economy, on the crime, and on our prison population. And that is exactly why we have spent years with tough on crime policies. And that is also exactly why privatization of prisons is flourishing. And, of course, that is exactly why more state and federal prisons are being born, from 1 to 14 in Oregon, okay? But I want to take a few minutes to tell you some of my personal experiences with prisoners that's convinced me that humanizing prisoners reduces recidivism, and that the above things that I have just told you are true. Last week I went to a car wash. And this car wash was presented by a group called the Iron Tribe. And the Iron Tribe is a bunch of folks recently released from prison who got together and have kind of a club. There's 41 of them. They call themselves a fraternity and sorority. There's some men and some women. And according to the tribe organizers, this is this one small thing I'll read, the idea came out of an awareness by some prisoners that felt life is built in circle. I'm reading this to you because it reflects how some of the people coming out of prison feel, what their guts are made of, because I'm humanizing them, right? The circle of drugs and crime and the associations one has in it builds a life and a way of living that keeps us coming back. The apparent need to build a new circle, a new social network that is built on recovery and social mentoring and support was needed. What do I do to stay clean and, more importantly, to be happy? The tribe was born out of that. It's easier and more fun to reconnect to society in a good way as a group, and everyone in the tribe benefits. We stay busy and active. We care for each other. We are a fraternity and a sorority of ex-cons in recovery, trying to make a difference in our lives and in our society. Our past life was isolating. Our current one is not. We are the Iron Tribe. Well, I met a lot of these guys. I go to Oregon State Prison and I do a writing class, and I go to Columbia River Correctional Institution and I work in the leadership program with Phoenix Rising, and I go to Coffee Creek for the women's prison. And I would say in the last 3 or 4 years I've literally met hundreds of prisoners and talked to them one-on-one. So I showed up at this car wash activity, which brought out 20 of the 41 Iron Tribe members. They were united to have a Saturday afternoon to raise some funds that they wanted to give to one of the transitional programs that had helped reveal to them while they were still incarcerated that they had to change their life, that they had to come out and they had to be different, that they did not want to come back to prison. And so I got to this car wash. I'll tell you, they made me feel like the Queen of Sheba arriving on a float. Ruthie, baby, how you doing? It's so good to see you. And they ran up and they hugged me and they remembered I had met some, 6, 7, 8 times in various meetings down in Oregon State. Quite a few of the guys from Columbia River were there, and they all, they hugged me, they touched me. And when I visit them in prison and I, quote, work with them, we're not allowed to touch. We're not allowed to hug. I have a visitor's pass. I'm not allowed to wear blue because there's a prison rule that says when you visit in the prison, you can't wear blue because if there's any kind of an outbreak or problem, the guns are somehow scientifically or technologically trained that they shoot at blue. So you must now wear blue. And all the prisoners must wear blue. They wear jeans and blue shirts, and on the shirt and on the pants it says prisoner, inmate, so on. So here the guys were at the car meet. Some of them had tear-off blues. That was fun. Most of them had bright-colored shirts, and I had on jeans. And they were so glad to see me, and they hugged me, and they talked to me. And when I met them in prison, the same people. I'm talking about people I've watched for maybe 6 months to a year. When I saw them in prison, they sat like this, and their shoulders drooped. And they would look me in the eye, and when they would talk about maybe how their childhood was in a dysfunctional home and they'd been abused, they would look down, they would look away.